Hey, my students, this is Mr. Moreno. I'm here with a video on major revisions. This is called Writing About a Pebble. I have 3 things to do. First, we're going to talk about the rule of writing about a pebble. After we talk about the rule, I'll give you an outline for how you can start your essay. And then the third thing will be to actually either A, start your essay, or B, start a second draft that has a little bit more focus. By now, you should already have at least your topic in mind. First, let's get some energy in here.
Hey. Good to see you. Come on in, let's go. Yeah! Let's go! All right, okay.
All right, class. You ready? Let's do this. So, here's what we've done so far. First, introduction. Talked about the writing process, talked about how I revise essays. Number 2, we did topic picking. We looked for those pearls in your life. And hopefully, by now, you have a few of them. Maybe they're jiggling around in the little bag that you have ready to go. And now it's drafting time. Either A, you're still not sure about how to draft, or how to get started, or B, you've already gotten started. And maybe this video is for those of you who have encountered the number 1 problem that I have with all my students. What's that number 1 problem? Is that my students write too much about the event and very little about what the event has done for them in their life. And so let's continue here. What are you talking about, Moreno? What's this thing about a pebble? Well, the rule of write about a pebble is this. Write about a pebble. Write about the pebble. Don't write about pebbles. Okay, what does this mean? Well, don't write about a topic that's general. Don't talk about a topic that's broad. Write about a specific time, moment, place, all those things on that list. I like to tell my students that they're not writing about things, they're writing about moments. Let's get fancy. You're writing vignettes. You're writing anecdotes. You are taking a look at a period in your life, or you're taking a look at an event. Maybe the event was a few weeks, a few months, and you're getting a microscope and you're looking for 1 or 2 moments that kind of explain that whole thing or symbolize that whole thing. There is no other pebble in the world that's that size. It's unique. And that shape, it's a heart. In fact, the symbolism continues here because you can very clearly see whoever's finger that is. You can see his or her fingerprints. You can see the waves and the lines, and you know fingerprints are unique to a person. And so I want you to have that in mind, that idea of uniqueness. Sometimes a student will write something that is so general that anyone who's been in band or has not passed a test or has struggled in math, anyone could have turned that paper in because it's so generic. They're writing about pebbles. Instead, we're going to figure out how to turn that into something that's unique about you. (2020) College admissions officers are going to see this. These are all the essays about the coronavirus. They are all the students who have had this life-changing experience. Shoot, I never experienced anything like 2020. And there's all the essays about the coronavirus. They will have things that are very much in common. And so I'm not saying don't write about the coronavirus, but instead of writing about coronavirus or about the epidemic or about lockdowns, what was unique to you? Which one of those is you? Are you this little red one? Are you this oval one? Are you this one under here that's a little bit bigger than the rest? This one looks lighter than the rest. Are you this super smooth one? Ooh, look at this one. It has some kind of maybe quartz or marble in there. Ooh, this one right here has a line running through it. Which one is you? What's the difference? These are pebbles. These are pebbles. But here you can find a pebble. How does this apply for your writing? Again, this is from Nancy Atwell, who wrote a book about writing and teaching writing. She says, don't write about late summer. Write about this summer day. She says, go to the window with a clipboard and write about that. Don't write about sunsets or rainbows, dogs or kittens, friendship, soccer, but pick something. Talk about that sunset you saw last night, or that rainbow that appeared out of nowhere when you needed one. Maybe it was a double rainbow. Or instead about just talking about reading in general, talk about an experience reading a book. Maybe that page, maybe you remember exactly where you were when you finished, and you're like, oh my gosh, the book finished, and it looks like the world is like never before, and then you look around and nobody's read the book. I don't know, that happens to me all the time. Nobody read the book. Nobody is over here feeling what I'm feeling. Don't write about pumpkins. Write about the pumpkin you carved last night. Maybe the pumpkin that you grew from seeds. Maybe about the jack-o'-lantern. Maybe about those bad high school boys that smashed yours on the road. Not you. That smashed yours on the road. All right. So, this is Nancy Atwell. Let's see what Moreno. I got some tips for you too. So, Pebbles 2. Don't write about leadership positions. They're going to look like this. I was in ASB. I was in Renaissance. I was in Link Crew. I was in Key Club. I was in Honor Society. I was in the Spanish Club. I was in the French Club. I was the leader of my youth group. They're going to look like that unless you are able to talk about something that's unique to you. Talk about the time you stayed up late doing something because it was your responsibility. Don't talk about maturing. Talk about how babysitting at night means that you have to do homework at 4 in the morning. Don't write about death in the family as much as maybe you want to focus on that moment where you remembered the person who passed away and you still kept going. You didn't give up on that test because you had them as an inspiration. Maybe don't write about trauma. You write about maybe how you overcame the PTSD to graduate. Maybe you mention the scars, but don't focus on them. You focus on what they are as reminders for you to keep going forward. You can bring that stuff up a little bit, but maybe as a contrast to how you've changed. 80% of your essay should be about how whatever event you're talking about changed you for the better. What would make you a good college kid at their university? Don't write about mothers. You're going to talk about your mom, how you helped her make tamales. Maybe how you had to step up when she needed you most. Don't write about fathers. Show us maybe how your own father's story helped shape your own. Maybe a specific moment. Don't write about band. Instead, write about that tough rhythm you couldn't get or that performance. Maybe talk about an experience with your family in band or your section. Maybe the name of your instrument. I don't know. The idea here, obviously, I'm telling you, is that you are choosing events that are unique to you. So, a general, basic Moreno outline is 3 pieces. Not 3 paragraphs, 3 pieces. An opening, obviously the development, the body paragraphs, and then a closing. Did you know that penguins did this? One of my students told me. I didn't know. All right, here we go. Opening. You've set up your story. Here's where you tell us your story. Oftentimes I tell students to give their story in one paragraph, 2 lines. You don't need to hash out all the details. We just need to know that something happened. Number 2, your development paragraphs is where you show your best qualities. This is the most important part of your essay. This could be multiple paragraphs. You want to stay under the word limit. Might even just be 1 if you're writing a PIQ. And of course, a closing. Now, let's break this up and weigh it. Give it weight. They're not all equal. If I were to set this up as a font size, here's the opening. It's tiny. Here is your development of your paragraphs. It's kind of huge. You're showing your best qualities. And then here you are sticking the landing. In fact, I might even do this. They don't deserve 2 lines. So there is your outline. This is what I would suggest. I keep saying that I see the same kind of writing when my students come with their first draft, which is okay. We got time. And this is what it looks like. They have an opening. Often is really long sometimes. And that's where they set up their story. And that is 80% of your essay. If you look really closely, grab your magnifying glass. Look, get close to the computer. It says development sentence. I wrote sentence because sometimes they only write 1 sentence. All this stuff happened to me. Paragraph, and then at the end they say, and I became a better student because of it. Gotcha. You did do the assignment correctly. However, you didn't give it enough weight. Then I have you're going to close, and you're going to, again, we call it stick the landing. It's a little bit different than a regular academic essay because there's a lot more action and there's a lot more movement in a personal statement. Look at this little rocks telling a story. The cat and the puppy. All right. So you've been watching videos with me, and you've been working with your teachers, and you've been motivated on your own. So you've already got a topic. You've already got drafts. Now, revision. How do you start? If you were my student, I would start with what is most visible, audible, sensory, tactile, all the other senses. I would have you start describing what you see. And again, this is for those students who have plenty of time to write a few drafts, maybe 2 or 3 drafts where you're describing what happened. And to me, that's where I would start. What do you smell when you are living this experience? If we go back to this list, what was it like to make those tamales? What was it like to be up at 4 in the morning? Was there a certain smell at that time or a certain color? What's that rhythm like? Is it staccato? Is it legato? What was that rhythm like? How did it make you feel? How can you describe it with words? Maybe for your leadership positions, oftentimes you got to deal with other students. Maybe the sound of that student's voice can help trigger your writing in a positive way. I don't know. But this is where now it's time for you to grab your instrument and begin writing. Here's what we did today. We talked about writing about a pebble. Who would have thought? I told you about the rule of writing about a pebble, not writing about pebbles. Here's an example of the kind of blandness that college admissions officers don't want to see. I gave you an outline, and I said 80% should be about the effects of the event. 80% should be about the effects of the event. And then we talked about starting. How should you start? Well, with sensory details. Now, that being said, let's get you some closing music so you can be energized to start writing your next draft of your personal statement. Good luck.
Come on in, let's go. Yeah! Let's go! Alright, okay. Alright, okay. Return to the Mac. Get up what it is, what it does, what it is.